Play.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. In Australia right now, it is the morning, and there'll be one person waking up with a slightly larger hangover than anyone else. And that person is Holger Rune, because he was in a position to win his quarterfinal against Andrey Rublev. Andrey Rublev, by the way, will have been celebrating, but I'm sure will not have been consuming alcohol because he is through to the quarterfinals. Let's have a quick look at the result, but there is so much to unpick from regarding this result. And it's the one I want to address first. It's the one that I covered live on the channel. And by the way, we're going to be covering all 8 of the quarterfinals on the men's and the women's side over the next 36 hours or so. So make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So let's have a quick look at some of the results, but particularly the result involving Andrey Rublev and Holger Rune, because that is where I would like to begin. Let me know all of your thoughts. Get your comments in the live chat. I will address them at the end of the show. I have so much to unpick and so much to talk about regarding this particular match that I'm going to have to do so first. Okay, so what happens? Let's talk about the match anyway. First of all, they are both on serve at 2 games all, and we reach the first inflection point, and this is simply that Rublev is love 40 down on his own serve. Not only does he get it back to 40 all or to deuce, he ends up going on to win that game and breaking. Rune breaks back, but Rublev breaks again and ends up serving it out and wins the first set. And by the way, in sets 1 and 3, Rune's first serve percentage getting it in was less than 55% in both of those sets. And guess what? In set 2, it went up to over 65%, and therefore he wins set 2 and loses sets 1 and 3. Now, let's go to set 4. Midway through set 4, Holger Rune is suffering from some illness, if you like, some nauseousness. It's nothing serious, but maybe the searing temperatures just starting to get to him. Rublev, by the way, remaining cool as a cucumber, but it is Rune who takes advantage and breaks and wins the 4th set. But really, all the drama comes in the 5th set. Rune takes an early advantage, holds on to it, gets to 5-2. Then it goes 5-3 because Rublev holds. Then Holger Rune is serving for the match. And I think from this moment onwards until the end of the match, we see pressure point after pressure point after pressure point. And in many respects, Rune did not handle the occasion and Rublev did. That is why Andrey Rublev is in the quarterfinal, and that is why Holger Rune is not. Now, let me explain how and what kind of evidence I have to support that. Now, first of all, he's serving for the match. He starts to produce errors that he's not been producing before. He starts also, his opponent, Rublev, is feeding off that anxiety, making sure that Rune hits every ball. And by the way, how does he sense it other than the obvious fact that we have the occasion? Well, I'm just going to take my earphones off so you can have a quick look at what I have behind me. It is, in fact, a table tennis table, but hopefully, if I remove the microphone, you will be able to see exactly what I mean. Because I tell you what happens. Rune starts hitting the ball, and instead of hitting the ball in this area here, the ball is landing more and more and more in this mid part here of the court. Why? Because he's taking it carefully. He doesn't want to hit it too aggressively in case he hits it long. He wants to get good net clearance as well. The odd exception to that, by the way, comes at a point in the tiebreak when he goes big, he goes aggressive, he decides to let the shackles off, and guess what? He hits it into the net. And I tell you what, the only time between 2-5, the only time that he didn't feel any anxiety is when he suddenly finds himself down in the tiebreak and he has no choice. He's now down 9-8 in the tiebreak. We'll come to that point in a minute, but basically he wins it, and he's in a corner, and he's got no choice but to go for it with a backhand pass, and he succeeds with that. But listen, back to my point. Too many shots from Holger Rune at the key moments were landing here. No good, no good, no good, no good. You've got to be getting it here. And I tell you what, most of the time, he was getting it there. Apart from that 5-2 moment onwards. Now, you might say to yourself, John, he gathered it together. Yes, he did. I think holding for 6-5. He then has 2 match points at 15-40. But Rublev, who knows the anxiety on the other side of the net, is feeding off that and constantly making A, Rune hit the next ball, and B, getting his first serves in, something that also Rune was struggling to do at various points. Rune takes a 5-love lead, though, in the tiebreak, but really, he was doing so not because he was winning the points, but because Rublev was helping him by losing them. Get your comments in. Let me know if you agree or disagree with some of the analysis I have given you. The only time that I felt that Rune really delivered at any point, despite having that 5-love lead, was when he was in a backhand corner. He had nowhere else to go, if you like. He now, by the way, is over here. If you can just about see me here. Maybe I'll get us on the big screen, so maybe it helps you see me a little bit more clearly. So he's over here. Rublev has gone. By the way, now it is Rublev suddenly with a match point at 9-8 because he goes from love 5 in that tiebreak and he actually manages to eke out an advantage and get to 9-8. And now he has a match point. Anyway, and at 9-8, it's Rublev's time to sense the moment and go, oh, hang on a second, I might win this. Comes towards the net with a forehand, goes a little bit cautiously, ends up giving Rune a chance. Rune is over here. Rublev is towards the net. Rune is here on the backhand side. Goes for it, big style. No choice. His back is against the wall. He wins that point. Sensational. Gets it to 9-all. However, Rublev on the next point. First serve in. 10-9. Match point. What happens on the next point, by the way, is a little bit unlucky for Holger Rune. In fact, it's very unlucky. He actually gets his serve in. Rublev returns, clips the net. The ball bobbles over into the court. And Rublev is into the next round. Holger Rune, on the other hand, has been sent packing. Okay. Who will he be facing in the next round? Well, he's going to be facing Novak Djokovic after Djokovic, by the way, dispelled any concerns that anyone may have had. Anyone who thought that maybe Novak Djokovic was struggling in terms of his fitness, I think now has to realize that his fitness is just fine, at least for now. That's all I can say. The 4 matches that he has played so far, during points, there is no evidence whatsoever that he is missing shots, missing points, struggling to reach balls as a result of the hamstring injury. That is not to say that the hamstring injury doesn't exist. I'm not saying that. I'm actually giving it recognition. I'm sure it does. I'm sure there is feeling there. I'm sure it is affecting him perhaps after the match. I'm sure as well that if this wasn't a Grand Slam and he was attempting to win his 10th Australian Open, that he may well have pulled out as a precautionary measure. However, during points, not a bit of it. We've seen it in each round. I would argue that perhaps at the end of the second set, in his second round match against Korkul, maybe there was a moment there, particularly in the tiebreak, that perhaps it was affecting his confidence a little bit. But let me tell you this, against Dimitrov, the only moments against Dimitrov in the third round where it affected him was between points, not during points. And if you saw the match today, he crushed his opponent with not a single issue with his hamstring, as I think you'll have to agree. 5 games he dropped. And I will say this, I think Novak Djokovic would have won the Australian Open without all of these incidents occurring. But let me tell you this, from the moment the Australian Open began, or even just before, there have been a few dominoes falling also in his favor. Exactly, Taha. He was flawless. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Taha, nice to have you on board, by the way. We're going to be covering every single match in the quarterfinals, and I hope in Germany we say down which is us. I hope we're going to be able to cover every single match live from now until the end of the tournament. Every single singles match, I should emphasize. We will be covering the doubles post-tournament with a review of that. But anyway, also, by the way, we've got the super chat option if you wish to take advantage of that. In fact, let me make sure I open that up now. Because I forgot to open that up, but I'm going to do so now. So you can hit that. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new, as it help in every way, shape, and form. Let me know your thoughts on the Rune and Rublev match. Also, any of the other matches that occurred today, because there were plenty of very big, significant, important matches, all of which I will be addressing in this show. The 20 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes we run a little bit over. Very difficult to imagine anyone knocking Djokovic out now. But like I said, there's been a few moments in this tournament that have certainly gone his way in terms of Holger Rune, I think, going out today. Alcaraz pulling out injured as well. The draw opening up. I think the draw was kind to him in the first place. But he didn't really need any of these things, that's for sure. He would be exactly where he is. And he may well go on to win lift the trophy. And very little will have been done to aid that other than Novak himself. But maybe he might have dropped a set or two had he come up against more difficult opposition. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. I will address them as and when I can. Okay, Djokovic through. He will play Andrey Rublev in the next round. Tommy Paul is also through to the next round after a 4-set win over Roberto Bautista Agut. I did not see this match, so I apologize for that, but I can at least tell you the result. 6-2, 4-6, 6-2, 7-5. We will just have a quick look at some of the stats that were available for this match to see what you think of that. Also, let me know your thoughts in the live chat, both on this match and other ones as well. Really, this was very much a case of Tommy Paul took the initiative. Won the first set. Roberto Bautista Agut struggled to get it back. Does get it back in the second set, but ultimately Tommy Paul pulled away. I tipped Paul to go through, not with any great conviction, but he did so. Very much winning the serve battle anyway with 11 aces to 2 and only double faulting once, which perhaps tells you part of the story. And they're obviously having the faster serve, also aiding and abetting him. And by the way, almost double the winners count there with 58 to 35. I will address some of your thoughts in the live chat shortly. The final men's match that I haven't addressed thus far, Ben Shelton against JJ Wolf. What an epic this was. 5 sets. And in the 4th set, Shelton was constantly on the back foot, having to constantly serve to save himself, if you like, at 4-5 and then also 5-6. Held his nerve, and now in only his 2nd Grand Slam ever, having barely been on the tour for 6 months, is in a major quarterfinal. And I tell you what, he has more than a fighter's chance to beat Tommy Paul and make even the semi-final, where you would imagine Novak Djokovic will lie in wait. Of course, he has the assignment of Andrey Rublev, but if their previous clashes are anything to go by, should be a comfortable win for the Serb. However, I felt the same about Holger Rune, and Andrey Rublev surprised me there. So maybe he's got an even bigger ace up his sleeve to come. As you can see, there are other matches on my screen, other women's matches, for example. Sabalenka, how impressive was she, particularly in the second set? Some may feel that Bencic, by the way, cost herself a bit. She was 4-2 up in the first set, but ultimately Sabalenka winning that 7-5, taking a decisive lead in a way because something she didn't really relinquish by winning the second set 6-2. I know Bencic had some issues with the ball toss in the sun, in particular, quite a few times she tossed it up, and quite a few double faults as well, I believe, from her. Let's have a quick look at some of the stats, actually. I'm just trying to remember how many double faults there were exactly. Let's go for the whole match rather than just set 2, as we have on the screen right now. Let's have a quick look. Stats here, perhaps. There we go. All sets. Yeah, 8 double faults from her. I thought it might have been 10, but okay, 8 double faults from her, costing her 4 points over her opponent. For once, Sabalenka is seeing somebody else on the other side of the net struggling on that front. Sabalenka, ladies and gentlemen, is my tip to win the tournament, or was at the beginning, and I see no reason to change my mind. And guess what? I got Novak Djokovic on the other side. I got Novak Djokovic to play Tsitsipas in the final. I've got Tsitsipas to play Sebi Korda in the semi-final. Some might say I'm not doing too badly in the brackets. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. Make sure you hit the like button and feel free to give us a super chat to help support the channel. Magda Linette. This was a match that we covered on the channel, Damien and I. Damien, of course, a fellow Pole. I thought Linette, by the way, was very impressive. She was a double breakdown in that first set, 3-love. Garcia, though, had an off day. Is it time for Garcia to, by the way, Rublev made you winning all. Is it time for Garcia to reevaluate her game, that massive, aggressive style that we all know and love? But today was an off day for her. Erratic, perhaps you might say. Let's have a quick look at some of the stats, but really the biggest stat of all is the fact that Linette was 3-love down. And to be honest with you, once she gets it back on serve, the psychological damage that caused Garcia may well have affected her, because she never really recovered, I don't think. Anyway, Linette is through. Is that a shock? I would say so, but I know Damien was less surprised. He was reluctant to call it a shock on the show, but I was keener to do so. Let's have a quick look at the unforced errors, because I think that's probably the key. Oh, my mic was off. Lost the sound. Deary me. I don't know how I've managed to hold your attention for all this time. I'll go again. My mic is on now. I hope you can hear me. Great of you to stick with me, by the way, while you're watching me do all of this stuff with no mic on, by the way. But listen, let's go again, shall we? Now we've got some sound. Now that we've got Ghosty here, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. That's great, Ghosty. Yeah. Sorry about that. Let's go again anyway. Here we are. Okay, so Holger Rune. I can go back to my board now. So, the Holger Rune match, for me, was all about the fifth set and all about the latter part. But I will just highlight the fact at the beginning of the match, let's just share the screen here very quickly and have a quick look at some of the scores on the screen. Okay, here we go. So, some key moments in the match, but like I say, really it was all about from 5-2 onwards in the fifth set there. So, we will be talking about that in a second. So yeah, basically, also we're digging the beer. Great. I'm very pleased about that, Ghosty. Listen, what were the key moments? Well, first of all, 2-2, 2 games all on the Rublev serve. Love 40. But Rublev wins the next 5 points, meaning he holds his serve. Huge moment because Rublev then goes on to break, gets broken back, but breaks again and wins that first set. By the way, some very important serving statistics. In sets 1 and 3, Holger Rune's first serve percentage was at 55% or less. I think it was 48% actually for the first set, so well below 50% even. Second set was up to 65%. And guess what? He loses sets 1 and 3 and wins the second set. Fourth set, what's going on there? Main thing really that occurred during the fourth set was now Holger Rune was starting to feel, let's say, the temperature, maybe the occasion, and he needed a bit of treatment on the side of the court during a changeover. Nothing too dramatic, nothing that a couple of pills didn't seem to fix for him anyway. Perhaps it was the heat, perhaps it was the occasion, whatever, feeling a bit nauseous, but it didn't prevent him from managing to win that game and breaking serve and winning the fourth set and carrying the momentum into the fifth set and breaking serve and taking an advantage. He gets to 5-2. And here comes the most crucial phase. Deary me. Technical difficulties, you all, as Ghosty suggests. Thank you for that. Hopefully, am I back? Am I coming through loud and clear? I do hope so. We had a battery issue. I am back with you, and I apologize for some of the technical difficulties. Thank you, Ghosty, by the way, for holding the fort while I was gone. No video, buddy. But hopefully it's back. Listen, Ghosty, please tell me that both the video is back and the audio too. And hopefully hopefully we can sail on through to the end of this video without any more technical hitches there. Thank you, Ghosty, for saying John is back. Just let me know that I'm coming through loud and clear as well. And I will get to the crescendo of this match because the crescendo of this Rune match was extremely, extremely important. Rune, by the way, said he was absolutely gutted to lose this match. And you can understand why. Because he's leading 5-2. Thanks, by the way, green light. All seems okay again, Tahar. Thank you as well. Thanks for your patience, by the way, because I've not been, the voice hasn't been coming through. And yet I had about 20 odd people watching and just seeing me just blah, 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 but not being able to hear anything. Then, of course, we had the latest technical hitch with the battery, but now we're back and firing away. And you're still all here. So I admire your perseverance and patience. Okay. Perseverance and patience, by the way, is exactly what Andrey Rublev showed today. And perhaps Holger Rune was lacking. 5-2 he leads. It's on the Rublev serve. Rublev, by the way, faces 2 match points on his serve. Who remembers that moment, by the way, at 15-40? Not only that, he manages to save those match points with some excellent moments, some excellent under pressure moments, getting first serves in at very important points. But of course, there's still the Holger Rune serve to come. Holger Rune serving for the match. Love 40 down. What's going on? Didn't get his first serves in. 1 or 2 double faults creeping in. The pressure is building. The pressure is building, much like it is in this episode, whereby we didn't have sound, but then we did. Then we lost the battery, but now we've got it. Pressure is building. And I want to show you the board that I've got behind me. And I tell you what was probably the biggest example for me, other than the first serve stats, which were going down from Holger Rune, which I think is a significant point. Again, they're going back down at this point. But also, Rublev is feeding off his opponent's anxiety. He's feeding off it. He senses it. And how does he know? Well, 1 or 2 double faults, as I mentioned. He's also realizing the occasion. He's also noticing 1 or 2 tame second serves that are landing in. But even more significant than probably anything else, this is where you want the ball to be landing. This is where the ball was landing from Holger Rune during a lot of the rallies from 5-2 onwards. He realizes, Rublev, just how anxious his opponent is, because he's putting it there. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? That means your opponent, who's getting plenty of net clearance as well, by the way, is taking it easily. That is not Holger Rune. He does anything but take it easy. Watch, by the way, I think it was that game when he got love 40 at the beginning of the match. 3 sensational points. Holger Rune is not someone who takes it easy, ladies and gentlemen, but at 5-2 onwards, understandably, the tension got to him, and he took it very carefully. He wasn't making many errors, but Rublev was like, hang on a second. My opponent here is anxious. He fed off that, and Rublev was not anxious as a result. So suddenly we go from 5-2 to 5-all because he doesn't serve it out. It then goes to 6-5 to Holger Rune. Hats off to him. He then gets the 2 match points that I mentioned to you. Hats off to him. But again, he starts taking it easy. Indeed, Ghosty. Okay, then we get to the tiebreak. What happens in the tiebreak? He takes a 5-love lead, and you're saying to me, John, I thought you said he was anxious. He was still anxious. He'd lost the momentum, but he was gifted a few points in that tiebreak from Andrey Rublev, who was hitting balls into the tram lines and into the net that he really shouldn't have been. But now, again, 5-love up in the tiebreak. You're ahead on the scoreboard. The pressure is on. It goes to 7-4. Still a pretty healthy lead, you would argue. But the pressure is on. And from 7-4, he then finds himself 9-7 down. Holds his serve for 9-8. Hats off to him. But now, in a way, the pressure is a little bit off. Now it's on Rublev, right? Because he's the one who's leading. He's the one who's got the match points. And in fact, arguably the point that sums that up best was 9-8. Arguably, I mean, we were all falling off our chairs and rolling around on the floor at this moment because the tension was so high. Rublev was in charge of the point at 9-8. And I've got to go back to my board once again because I want to show you what happens. If you imagine the net somewhere down here, Rublev comes into the net with a fairly easy forehand, but now it's Rublev's turn to take it a little bit easy, giving himself some margin as he hits the ball here, and Rune is in the backhand corner. And you're saying to yourself, John, if Rune is so nervous at this point, how does he end up pulling off one of the shots of the match over here with a backhand pass past Rublev? Well, I'll tell you why. Here, not only is he at the back of the court, not only is he on the backhand, he's on the back foot. come out fighting. There's no pressure on Rune at this point. And guess what? He pulls off a worldie. He wins the point. It's 9-all. The tension returns. 10-9 Andrey Rublev. And then what happens at 10-9? Well, it's something inexplicable almost, and something that can occur in tennis, and a very, very lucky net cord goes the way of Andrey Rublev on the return. It happens. Not much you can do about that. I haven't heard anything from Patrick Mouratoglou, D, by the way. But if you have, let me know in the live chat. But I imagine he probably hasn't commented. I really hope he hasn't anyway. Listen, it's one of those things that can happen to anyone. I thought Holger Rune was extremely clutch, by the way, last year in Paris-Bercy. So you listen, that is something you live and learn by. I'm pretty sure the next time this happens, Rune's going to go, you know what? I'm going to stick to my game. I'm going to stick to all of the things that's got me so far in this sport. And that's by playing electric tennis. Indeed, it was super fluky. But let me tell you, that wasn't. Pretty much everything that preceded it was not fluky. That was the only thing by the way, you used the word fluky in the US. I didn't know that. But it was the only thing really that was lucky from that 5-2 moment onwards. And in many ways, Andrey Rublev, as a result, deserves his place in the quarterfinals, where he will be playing Senor Djokovic, because Novak Djokovic dispelled any concerns that anyone may have had about his hamstring today with a straight sets win over Alex de Minaur, 6-2, 6-1, 6-2. Some people were suggesting before this match that they had noticed some hindrance to Novak Djokovic in previous rounds. Me personally, I only noticed it once in the previous 3 matches, and that was towards the end of the second set in the second round. But in fact, Damien said he doesn't think it's hindered him at all. What is obvious regarding the injury, and we'll address the match in a second, is it does exist. I'm not denying it. I think there's some skeptics out there, but there's absolutely in fact, there's no evidence to suggest that it doesn't exist. And in fact, it's almost impossible to prove. So in fact, I'm not even going to waste any more time on it. Let's go with it. It exists. However, that doesn't necessarily mean it's hindering the performance of Novak Djokovic. He's dropped 1 set thus far. That's probably about normal, I would suspect, for a guy who's won this tournament 9 times already. And I expect him to win it a 10th time as well, particularly with Holger Rune going out today. Did it hinder him against Dimitrov? Absolutely not. He's beating a very, 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 very capable opponent, a former Grand Slam or former Australian Open semi-finalist, and he wins that match in straight sets. Not only that, the moments it is hindering Novak Djokovic, there's no statistics, by the way, that supported the idea that he's lacking velocity or anything like this, or unable to chase points down. I want to see the evidence for that. And unless I do see the evidence, I will go with what I can see with my eyes. I will go with the results. I will also go with this. It is causing him an issue between matches. It may well be hindering his ability to practice as often as he wants. But he also, by the way, is continuing to practice. If he's really, really that injured, he's not going to be practicing. In addition to that, the moments between the points is when we see it. We saw how at the end of the first set against Dimitrov, I'm sure he felt it at the end of that point, but he didn't feel it at any point throughout it, which is why he managed to chase the ball into the net and get that excellent volley over. Listen, back to the match today, though. He was flawless, I would suggest, in his result here against de Minaur. De Minaur could not lay a glove on him. And Rublev lies in wait. 26 winners to 9. Unforced errors was pretty much 50-50. And on the return, by the way, de Minaur didn't make any, but that's by the by. I think it was also in set 3, I think it was, where de Minaur didn't get any winners at all. Okay, listen. What are your thoughts on Djokovic? Is it now certain that he will win a 10th Australian Open crown? Indeed, Djokovic dismantled de Minaur. Do you think he was trying to send a message to Aussie fandom? I don't think Djokovic really cares so much about that. He just wants to win the Australian Open. I think he loves playing in Australia. I know he had all those issues a year ago. But by the way, the stars seem to be aligning for Novak. Of course, Carlos Alcaraz pulling out injured, but also one or two others things going his way. Perhaps an easier draw, and even Holger Rune, who I think may have posed a problem for him in the quarterfinals, is out. Rublev has tended to roll over and have his tummy tickled by Novak, and I expect it to be the same in the quarterfinals. Perhaps a wild proposition, not a wild card, such as a Ben Shelton or a Tommy Paul in the semi-final, may pose a greater problem. It will be a new problem, at least if it's Ben Shelton, for Novak. And perhaps an informed Stefanos Tsitsipas can do something more. But Tsitsipas has lost every single match they've ever played. So we'll see if that pans out. By the way, we've got 32 of you on board right now. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We are going to be covering every single match in the coming hours. All 4 singles matches that are going to be played today, tomorrow, whatever time it is, wherever you are. We are going to be covering every single one on the channel, starting with Ostapenko against who's Ostapenko playing? Somebody tell me. I've forgotten. But we've got Ostapenko's match for sure. Against is it Azarenka she's playing? Just trying to think. No, Azarenka's later, isn't she? Ostapenko is playing Rybakina, of course. I expect Rybakina to win that. What do you think? Let me know in the live chat. Hit the like button, by the way. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Perhaps, yes, Michael, when he lost to Söderling in 2009. Indeed, Michael. By the way, we do accept super chats here on the channel. If you see that little dollar sign or whatever sign it is below the chats, I'll make sure if you do give us a super chat, I'll put you on the board, and that would be great. Why isn't the tennis or press public giving Rublev more credit for what was ultimately a very strong performance in the 5th set? I hope I was giving him some credit, Ghosty. If it seemed as though I wasn't and I focused a bit too much on Rune, quite possibly. I think many of us, me included anyway, thought that Rune would win today. And I also think it was there to be won for Holger Rune. But I will say this. There was a monster performance on the other side of the net. First serves in, very important. But like I said, I do think he fed off the anxiety he felt on the other side of the net. Okay. Moving on up. Do you know that song, ladies and gentlemen? Not sure if you do, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay. I will come to the women's side shortly. By the way, I've done this already once before. If you're watching this retrospectively and you've gone all the way through my first 15, 20 minutes of technical issues, wonderful. Glad that you're still here. But anyway, whatever. Here we are and here we go. Onwards and upwards, as they say. So, Bautista Agut, Tommy Paul. I wasn't able to watch this match, by the way. So let me know your thoughts in the live chat on Tommy Paul, Bautista Agut. All I'll say is that I did have Tommy Paul to win that. He did so. I did feel that this tournament may be a bit of a better one for him compared to, say, New York, the last Grand Slam, which is also, of course, on a hard court, where Tommy Paul, I think, only went out because he had back-to-back 5-set matches. Here he has had one against Davidovich Fokina, but the rest of the matches have not been 5-setters for him, and I think he's reaping the benefits of it right now. And unfortunately, Roberto Bautista Agut was unable to skittle him, and therefore Tommy Paul is through to the quarterfinals. I'm sure he hopes it'll be the semifinals very soon. But if he's to get to the semifinals, he's going to have to beat Ben Shelton, ladies and gentlemen. Ben Shelton, I hear you say. Maybe some of you before this tournament, or certainly 6 months ago, were like, Ben who? And to be fair, 6 months ago, I'd understand why you might say that. But not anymore. His performances pre-US Open put him on the map. This is only his second Grand Slam, by the way, and he's already into a quarterfinal. He might well reach the semis, by the way, and who knows how far this journey can take him. Let me know your thoughts on the live chat. I was particularly impressed with him in the 4th set, by the way. Under pressure constantly. Wolf takes the 3rd set on a tiebreak, and then in the 4th set, Shelton is always down on the scoreboard, always down at 4-5 and at 5-6, serving to stay in the match. Cool as a cucumber. Wins the tiebreak, takes the momentum into the 5th set, and onwards and upwards, Shelton goes. Ben Shelton, JJ Wolf, tick. Tommy Paul, RBA, tick. Novak, Alex de Minaur, tick. Rublev, Rune, tick. On to the women. Let's begin with Sabalenka Bencic. It was the first one on court. Bencic, by the way, takes a 4-2 lead, cedes the advantage. Too many double faults off the racket of Bencic. I've seen stats that say 8 or 10. Let's go with 8 anyway. But it was double the number of double faults from Sabalenka. We all remember the yips that Sabalenka was suffering from exactly at this time last year and at various points throughout last year. Just 4 off her racket, 8 off Bencic's racket. And from 4-2, Bencic then only wins 3 more games in the rest of the match. Crucial in her defeat. And by the way, I know she was having some issues with the ball toss and the sunshine. Perhaps that cost her dearly. But Sabalenka is looking good, as is my bracket, by the way. Guess who I have to win the Australian Open women's side? Aryna Sabalenka. Who do I have on the men's side? Not exactly rocket science, Novak Djokovic. Who do I have in the final? Stefanos Tsitsipas. Who do I have Stefanos Tsitsipas beating in the semi-final? Sebi Korda. Call me Nostradamus if you want. Linette, by the way, Garcia, we had that covered on the channel and we were all over that, Damien and I. Damien, of course, a fellow Pole. He was less surprised by the result than I was. I was a bit surprised. I had Garcia going through and it threw in straight sets as well. But just goes to show I'm not quite Nostradamus yet because Linette won. But really, this was... Listen, hats off to Linette. 3-love down and a double break, by the way, in that 3-love. She gets it back and she goes on to take that first set. And I think the psychological blow on Garcia was too tough to take. Linette was pretty cool. She served it out as well. We know that she's had 1 or 2 issues with that, as she did in the previous round, for example. She managed to get through, but it took twice for her to serve it out in the previous round. But Linette goes through. The fans were great, by the way. There was somebody, by the way, in the crowd with what looked like a Make Australia Great Again, Make Poland Great Again. I'm not sure. It was a red Trump-esque hat. From a Polish fan. In fact, there was a Polish contingent there, including a Polish Judy Murray, by the way, so keep an eye out for her on the highlights. She wins the second set 6-4. Unfortunately, this was one of those days where Garcia was a little bit erratic, shall we say. She will have ups and downs with that aggressive style. Is that aggressive style capable of winning, just non-stop aggression? Can that take her all the way to a Grand Slam title? Let me know in the live chat. It's not going to take her to this one, that's for sure. Okay, other women's matches from yesterday. Vekic winning in 3 sets. I didn't watch this match, but I do know that Vanch was big on Vekic before the tournament, and his confidence in her has been justified by a quarterfinal visit for her, where after she won in 3 sets against Fruhvirtova. I'm particularly pleased with that result because it means I won't have to say Fruhvirtova again for the rest of this tournament, I think. Pliskova also won in straight sets as well. That one was probably a little bit easier to predict. So she is through to the women's quarter-finals. I'm going to come to the live chat now. Let's see what you guys are saying and what's going on there. 30 is the new 20 now. Look at Novak Djokovic. Indeed. Have I missed any? Nostradamus, yeah, perhaps. Last year, Sabalenka was 8.5 double faults per game. And I tell you what, it was probably even worse at the beginning of the year. Shelton is 20 years old, indeed. Although I know what you mean with being such a good teen, but 20 he is indeed. Okay, what else is going on here? I'm pro aggression, so I'm hoping it can take her to the title. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is your last chance to join the like and subscribe model. I hope you like my ping pong table, which occasionally doubles up as a tennis court, so I could help explain some of the issues that Holger Rune in particular, but also Andrey Rublev dealt with today. Or was it yesterday? I don't know. Hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you all for some of the live commentaries we have still to come. All 4 matches. Ostapenko, Rybakina, which will be coming up in about 5.5 hours, I believe. 2:30 Central European time, 1:30 GMT. What will that be? I believe 8:30 in the evening Eastern time, 7:30 where you are, I believe, Ghosty. Anyway, you do the maths. So we'll be covering that one. We'll also be having Kachanov as well against Sebi Korda. That'll be on in about 7 or 8 hours from now. But by the way, if you just hit the like button and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, you'll be aware of when we are live. I have so much expertise coming your way. Ghosty, you can back me up on. You know that people like Vanch, myself, Damien, we know tennis. We are not here to just shout and do gimmicks and do clickbait and all that other stuff that we see elsewhere. We are here to give you the facts as they are. We can interpret them and offer them to you, and you can interpret them too. Okay. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. Feel free to donate to the channel via the super chat you can see below. But for me, I need to sleep for about 5 hours before we all go again. Tennis World, thanks for stopping by.